Welcome back to Saiyan Strongman's How to Do's. And today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to focus a little bit less on the technical side of things, and we're going to go over the top 5 best exercises to build size and strength in the chest. So let's get in there and get started. So we're going to go over some of the details of how to set up for the bench press and how to execute the bench press. Now, when it comes to the size versus strength portion, the bench press is mostly going to be the strength. Sure, as a result, you may gain some strength, or rather some size, but that's more of a secondary on the bench press. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set up on the back end of the bar, towards the bar. Once you're here and you've placed your feet, making sure that they're equal on each side, you scoot your hips forward, keeping your toes in the same place. Once you're far enough forward, you can lay back down on the bench press. Now, once you're here flat on the bench, you're going to want to create an arc. Now, because I'm pretty big, I have to literally push my body down to get my shoulder blades in an arc. This will bring our chest higher and closer to the bar. Now, you need to make sure that your eyes are level with the bar. This is how you know you're in the correct position. If you're too far up or too far down, you need to adjust accordingly. So, now when it comes to gripping the bench press, or rather the bar, you want to find the width on the bar which will make your elbow come down at a 90-degree position. You want your elbow to be straight up and down this entire time. If you find that you are flared out, or you're scrunched up, you're too tight, or you're too far out. So you need to find a solid middle ground where you can come down to a 90-degree angle. Now when you grip onto the bench press, make sure you dig your palm into the bench press, wrap your thumb and the rest of it tight, and keep your wrists straight throughout the entire portion of the bench press. Do not let them come back, and do not let them go forward. If they do either of those, this is a result of weak wrists, and we need to work on that. Ideally, once you've set up and everything, if you're a heavy bench presser, you want a spotter. But we don't have a spotter today, so we're going to use the best of our techniques to stay safe during this portion. Now, when it comes to the breathing technique, firstly, you take a big deep breath in, exhale as you bring it out, and when we're here, we take another big deep breath before we start the press. We take our time on the way down, keep the pressure even as we let it lay into our chest, and then up. And this is how it looks in real time. Now the other thing you'll notice is that when we come down, every time I land it right on top of or right under my nipple. For me, it's comfortable right under. So we'll go over the more intimate details of the bench press, the more advanced intermediate techniques that you'll learn as you go along. But for today, we're gonna move along. Make sure you hit that bench press at least once a week. But if you want a big bench, especially for the strength portion, I recommend twice a week. Let's get going. Alright, so our next exercise, number 2, is going to be the dumbbell press. Now, you may be asking yourself, the bench press and the dumbbell press are very similar, and this is true. But how you approach this lift will greatly determine whether it's more of a strength lift or a bodybuilding lift for size. The other thing for the strength portion of it is, yes, it's very similar to the bench press, but it also forces you to learn control and stability because each one of the weights is separate and controlled by the different arm. So the other arm and shoulder and the rest of it isn't working to help the other. As well as you're not able to use as much leg drive or as much full body power during something like the dumbbell press. So let's go over it real quick. Just like with the regular bench press, we scoot our hips forward, we lay down on the bench press, and now if we're trying to focus on strength, we'll keep it closer to our chest and do the full range of motion. Now we can do actually different variations of the dumbbell press, such as the inner dumbbell press like this. Trying to keep your wrist neutral, bring it down in the middle, and push up. This will help build the center of your chest and the depth of your chest. Now, if you want to make it more of a size exercise, what we'll do is only go to this 90 degree. Because after that, you're getting your clavicle and your chest involved, or rather your shoulder blades involved. So if we keep it here, we simply are pumping blood into the chest, and you'll feel the extra strain on the chest. All right, so the third exercise is also going to be a dumbbell exercise, and this is going to be very much a stability and strength exercise once again. On the latter half, we're going to get more to focusing on size. Now for this one, we get a much heavier dumbbell because we're only doing one dumbbell. But this one's a little tricky because it has to do with a lot of stability and a lot of hand control because where you have to place your hands. Now again, we scoot our hips forward, we roll the dumbbell onto us and get it to the bottom of our chest. Now we place our thumb on the bottom part of the dumbbell and wrap the rest of our fingers on, and we clamp down tight. Make sure you do this with a weight you can control, because this will roll off and hit you in the face. Have fun with that. All right, so again, we take in a big deep breath. So although this does require a lot of strength, once you do get control over it, you can really focus on coming down slow and blasting back up. Once again, if you don't go all the way down for full range of motion, you can focus this exercise to make it more of a bodybuilding style exercise to add size. Anyways, let's move on. All right, so the fourth exercise of the day is gonna be the chest fly. Now, there are so many different variations of the chest fly, some better than others. This machine particularly is my favorite chest fly machine and is the most effective chest fly machine that I've ever been on. If you aren't lucky enough to have one of these in your gym, then I would recommend something like a cable chest fly. I don't recommend dumbbell chest fly. I think that they're dangerous, especially because they're easy to do wrong. There's a high risk of injury, and actually contrasting your chest is quite difficult to do a dumbbell fly. So we're gonna go over it this way, but you can follow the same kind of rules with a cable chest fly. So let's get started. Now, this is very much a exercise focused on the size aspect. This is not gonna add too much strength, although it may add some thickness to your chest, which could aid strength. Now, we want to grab towards the center of the bar, pull up, make sure we contrast the chest and keep our head back against the bench. Now, as we come down, we want to make sure we get the full slow stretch, no matter how you're doing this. Now, unlike some other exercises where it's advantageous to grow size by cutting the lift a little bit short, this is one where you do want to get the full stretch and the full contraction, holding for a second. Up and down. Now the most important thing to remember, if you're doing this on a cable or something that's not controlled like this, you want to make sure that you're using your chest. Oftentimes people are using their shoulders and other things. We're going to make sure that we keep our chest wide and pull and lead with the chest, focusing and contrasting blood in there as we go. Anyways, let's move on. So the fifth and final exercise of the day is going to be the Incline Smith machine bench press. This, in my opinion, is the king of growing size, especially in the incline portion of your chest. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to set up just like a normal incline bench press. We want to make sure that when we set this up, that we have the bar coming at the right angle, which it comes down right here at the top of my chest above my nipples, right? So that's how we know we're in the correct place. We use our usual 90-degree angle method for the elbows. Now, if you want to focus this still for some kind of strength aspect, make sure you're going the full range of motion and blasting back up. But again, if you're focused on just growing size in the chest, you want to go almost all the way down. I would say leave about 1.5 inches to 2 inches on the way from your chest. So, as so. You'll also notice that I'm not fully locking out when I do the strength portion, or rather the size portion. And the reason for this is we want to keep constant tension on the chest, pumping blood, putting pressure, getting every ounce of last blood in there. That is what we're trying to do, expand the fibers. But if we're going strength, once again, all the way down, we let it rest a little bit, blast up and lock out. Come back down, blast up and lock out. Now, for all of these exercises, there's a way to focus on strength and there's a way to focus on size. What you want to focus on the most is what you will do. But what I would recommend is you switch it up, add in variations, do some of the variations that we talked about. For the bench press, we'll go over more in the future, but you could also do earthquake bench press, axle bar bench press if you have access. And if not, you could always get easy grips, which are thick grips that you can wrap around the bar and make the lift a little bit different. Anyways, let's get this finished. I'm dying. Alright guys, so that was Saiyan Strongman's 5 best exercises for building size and strength in the chest. Implement these exercises and their variations, be creative with your lifts, and let's get bigger and stronger together. Thanks for joining us for another Saiyan Strongman's How To Do's. Like and subscribe to Barbells and Battlefields, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.